Hi. Thank you very much, John. My name is Erin Joyce, and thank you for having me on the webinar today. I am a director in the Learning and Leading portfolio at Battelle for Kids, and I've had the privilege of working with the Ohio Appalachian Collaborative for the last 5 years. I'm also a REL Midwest Rural Research Alliance member, so I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today and also to hear the great research that's going on that's really helping inform the work of the Alliance. Today I'm going to talk about the Ohio Appalachian Collaborative and some of the work that the Collaborative has done in the area of teacher recruitment and retention, and actually a lot of the strategies and findings that the previous two speakers raised have been addressed through the OAC. So first I want to give you a little bit of background information about the Ohio Appalachian Collaborative and a little bit about Ohio as a rural state. So Ohio has the 4th largest rural school enrollment in the United States. So despite having major urban centers like Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati, we actually have a very large rural population. Also, 32 of Ohio's 88 counties are federally designated as Appalachian. And Ohio's Appalachian region tend to struggle economically, and they also have a very low adult educational attainment rates. Only about 12% of adults in Appalachian Ohio have a degree. So to address this issue, Battelle for Kids, the organization for whom I work, and a group of school districts in Ohio's Appalachian counties formed the Ohio Appalachian Collaborative in 2010. And these groups came together in 2010 around a theory of action that we call the Rural Education Transformation Approach. And there are sort of 6 key components, and I'll be talking about 2 of those components today, but the fundamental theory of action is if you address teacher quality, the quality of the leaders in schools, if you engage the community, if you really redesign learning opportunities to increase the rigor and relevance and for kids, if you use data to inform your practice, so keep track of what you're doing and make changes and adjustments because of that. And if you recognize and reward excellence within schools, the theory is that, if you address these areas, then students from across Appalachian Ohio and the districts who are participating, the goal would be for them to graduate from high school with higher aspirations and be better prepared for success in whatever happens after high school, college, career, and their future life. So as I mentioned, today I'm specifically going to talk about kind of 2 key areas in this wheel, enhancing teacher quality and recognizing excellence. One little note about the Ohio Appalachian Collaborative, because it comes up a lot, and particularly in rural school districts, is how do you pay for all these innovations? What are you doing in terms of addressing, how are you able to address all of this, knowing, as we've heard, that rural school districts tend to be poorly resourced. And that was actually kind of one of the reasons why the OAC came together. The collaborative was founded without a specific funding source, but the districts saw that by working together they would be better able to leverage funding sources that came out, because a lot of state and federal grants and philanthropic grants tended to go to bigger urban districts with greater capacity, and a little district that maybe had 2,000 kids just didn't have the capacity, didn't have grant writers, didn't have the staff to support that. So by coming together, over the last 5 years, the Ohio Appalachian Collaborative has been able to leverage federal funding like Race to the Top and the Ohio Teacher Incentive Fund, as well as state initiatives like Ohio has what's called the Straight A Fund, which is a set of innovation grants, and then also receiving funding from different philanthropic organizations. So as Doug shared in the beginning, and I thought that was a really helpful framework in terms of the four main areas, I'm going to talk about 3. We've already heard some in-depth application of the Grow Your Own. I'm going to talk about communities of practice, capacity building, and financial incentives, because these are actually 3 strategies that we've implemented over the last 5 years in the Appalachian Collaborative, and I'll talk a little bit about how each one of these have played out in the 27 districts that comprise the collaborative. So the first piece to talk about is the communities of practice. And I will say the communities of practice has really been the centerpiece of the collaborative's efforts around increasing teacher quality. And sort of the idea there is working with the talent we have. How do you take the talent you have in a rural district, and how do you grow and develop that talent? And so communities of practice are a key component. You look at sort of our main elements here. We have an online professional learning community that connects all 27 school districts within our collaborative. And on that online community, teachers can take courses, and the courses can either be taken for graduate credit, which helps teachers address their ongoing credentialing and licensure requirements, or you can go and take the course for a badge and sort of build that sort of online reputation through badging. There are also discussion forums, which address the issue that was raised in Doug's presentation about a lot of our teachers are sort of singletons. You know, you're the only foreign language teacher in your school, you're the only physics teacher in your high school, the only science teacher at the middle school. Through the online community, teachers are able to build custom groups, discussion forums, share resources, bounce ideas off of one another, and sort of build those professional connections across districts that they aren't able to address in their own district. As I mentioned, a lot of those are content and grade-specific groups. So we have some groups that are specifically focused on STEM. We have some that are specifically focused on foreign language. And those have been getting a lot of traction in terms of how teachers are able to work with one another. In terms of how you get this done, we had some key roles because, again, bringing together 27 districts who aren't all necessarily next door to each other, we had some key players. And so each of the districts within the Ohio Appalachian Collaborative has a role called a professional development coordinator. And that person is supposed to, their job is to sort of be the lead cheerleader and facilitator for the online communities of practice. So they build and develop what we found, developing communities of practices and PLCs within schools, but then how do you make that transition to an online space? So the professional development coordinator gets a fair amount of training to help facilitate kind of the movement from face-to-face engagement to online engagement. We've also done a lot of work with each district's technology coordinators, making sure, again, that the platform works, that teachers have access, and that the technology is there for the teachers to be able to work together. And then here at Battelle for Kids, sort of the role that we play is we provide both some content expertise in terms of helping with putting together the courses, facilitating dialogues, providing some professional learning opportunities, and then also we provide some expertise and coordination on the technology side in terms of, again, how do you what are effective practices around online professional learning? How can we help facilitate teachers in that engagement? So that's the communities of practice side. I realize I'm running short on time as well. So additionally, the other construct of capacity building. As I mentioned, Ohio has a straight A fund, which is the state's it's a competitive grant process for innovation in the state. So the rural districts in the Ohio Appalachian Collaborative are really focusing on dual enrollment as a strategy to help boost the college-going rate and to help kids earn credentials as they exit high school, which is really important for the success of the region. So in terms of capacity building, the one-time investment through the Straight A Fund was able to support credentialing of teachers to be able to provide those dual enrollment courses in their high school. So a lot of teachers needed some additional education to get the master's degree to become an adjunct. Now that was a one-time investment. The sustainability aspect of that, which focuses again on the capacity building construct, looks at each of these districts is taking a look at their hiring practices. So as teachers are coming in, they've looked at hiring around, what are they prioritizing teachers who have that dual enrollment credential already or who are close, who were able to help them sustain their dual enrollment opportunities. They're also leveraging teacher leadership opportunities, so identifying those teachers who have the additional credential and what are some ways that they can really leverage those teachers. We're also using our distance learning technology to help share and spread the effectiveness of those teachers. So again, If District A has a teacher who can teach college-level chemistry, we're using distance technology so that kids in Districts B and C can have access to that teacher and access to that course content. Additionally, districts are looking at incentives or stipends to really help retain those teachers because they've gone the extra mile, they've gotten the additional education, additional credential. What are some ways that districts can fund those to keep those teachers and make sure that they're able to sustain that capacity? And the last piece I wanted to mention as well on the idea of financial incentives. So 17 of the current OAC members also have participated in Ohio's Teacher Incentive Fund project for the last 5 years. Of that, the Teacher Incentive Fund, financial incentives are a component, and so there's a strategic compensation award programs for teachers who participate in this around improving student achievement, recognizing student growth, building school capacity, and fostering leadership. So the districts have developed, each district has developed their own award model and looking at those key elements. But I will say that the financial incentives are very closely tied with the capacity building and the communities of practice because truthfully within the Teacher Incentive Fund, the biggest push has been around developing those teachers through professional development and providing a lot of opportunities for them to grow within the profession over the course of the 5 years. So that's just another piece where the financial incentives are there, but the financial incentives don't stand alone. They stand in concert with a lot of professional support and development for the districts. So I've run through this rather quickly because I know we're short on time and it's a 5-year project with lots of pieces and parts. I've included links to both of the Ohio Appalachian Collaborative site has a website, as does the Teacher Incentive Fund. And you can, of course, contact me if you have additional questions after the slides.